Alright, welcome to my fourth video on the Grand Valley layout. Since last time I have put the tunnel tops on, and I put a couple of the platforms for the flat areas. So I did end up going with 1/2 inch all the way around, and I'm really happy that I did. It is really strong. I guess that's my engineering mind to overbuild everything. I want this thing to last. So yeah, it came out really well. I did do 1/4 inch on this piece, just because there was no need to go that heavy. But the 1/2 inch up on this section came out a lot stronger, and it makes the whole layout just rock solid. If you put a bead of glue all the way around onto the profile boards, it really puts it together and makes it nice and strong. So really happy with how that came out. I ended up getting 6 extra pieces of 1/2 inch at a local arts and crafts store, and a couple other pieces of foam. I think it was well worth it. They're not that expensive. They're like $5.50 each for a 12 by 28 piece of 1/2 inch foam. And yeah, it's well worth it to do the rest of the layout with all 1/2 inch. So the other thing that I did was I decided to just give it a little bit more of a finished look, and painted all the profile boards on the outside gray. The instructions say towards the end, if you read ahead, to plaster it, the whole thing, using cloth and painting it. I'm not sure I'm going to have that kind of energy when I'm done with this project, honestly. So I started just used a basic, really cheap, $6-7 acrylic paint, slate gray. And it's plenty good. I thought early on I'd had the brilliant idea of trying to spray paint it with a flat gray, and little did I know that spray paint, whatever's in that, tends to melt this stuff. So I started here. I'm not sure if you can see how much damage it did. It pretty much started slowly melting all this profile board. So I stopped right away. Luckily it didn't get too bad, but who knew? So the first thing that I used the spray paint on were these access hatches, and it really damaged them pretty bad. So I did end up putting a couple coats of plaster on these just to get them back to what's normal. So live and learn by your mistakes. Another mistake that I had made, this was early on, I got a little carried away with the track ballast, and I brought it all the way out to the edge, glued it and everything. So what I had to do was come back in here with the Dremel cut-off wheel, cut these right here, and make sure that the plastic piece that comes on the bottom of these rails, just pushed it down so I could put connectors on. So I had to do that on 3 of these. No big deal, easy fix. I did do one of them right. So so the next step is I'm going to put in all these pieces here for the flat areas. And again, I'm modifying this. I don't like the way they have it in the instructions, and this is where I used additional 1/2 inch. You know, it leaves a bunch of gaps around all these places, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do in here. I'm going to have like a field hospital. Again, this is a World War II layout, and some blown up buildings and stuff over there, and I'm not going to do a station here. They call for 1 3/4 inch pieces to put the 1/2 inch in, and that brings up that piece about 1/4 inch above the track bed, and I didn't like that. So I cut them all 1.5 inches, so everything in here is going to be flush, and it'll just be that much easier to fit your plaster cloth right on top of that. So that's the next step, is to cut these in and I'm going to make them nice and tight. I just figured if you need to have any terrain, you can use something like the moldacine plaster and just shape whatever you need on top of those flat areas, and you're going to have a great base to start with. Okay, so I finished putting these platforms on for all the level spots, and as you can see, I cut these pretty tight so they would fit in here, and I'm just really happy with the way it came out. It was a little bit extra time, um, but it's really going to give me a lot of flexibility on where I want to put things. And then, as I said, if you want to, add some more um, dimension to it, or put some terrain or rocks in there, use the old moldacine and just build it up. So I think this is a better way to go, and it's really, really strong. I went after I glued this in, I put a little dab in between each single one of these, so these are really, really solid, and they're completely flush here. So sanded these down, and it's going to make it really easy when it comes time to plaster those. So a word on the wiring. At this stage, I put these in. I stubbed these little straws in here so I can plaster around them, and I'll have a spot for my wires already in place. I'm sure you could do all that afterwards. If you had a long drill bit, you could just drill through everything that you've done, but this is how I did it. Another word on the wiring. So you need to choose, whatever red or black wire, or however your wiring this goes on the outside. I chose red to go on the outside, but if you follow it around, and I wrote little R's all over so I could keep track but didn't make a mistake. If you follow the track all the way around, if red is on the outside, comes through that bottom over there, and it's still red is on the outside up there, but it changes to the inside on here. So don't make that mistake. These two tracks right next to each other, red is on this side, but on the inside loop, red is on the inside of that. And again, if you follow that red on the inside all the way around, and as you come back out, now you have red back where it should be on the outside like the other one. So these spots where I have 3 straws, I'm just going to do a red, and then there's going to be a red and a black wire on this side and a black wire there. I've also put a couple places in where I'm going to run some auxiliary power. I'm not going to do much here. Again, this is a World War II layout. This is supposed to be like a battle in late 44, early 45, and it's going to be a bombed out Germantown in the Alps, and there's probably not going to be much electricity. So like here, I'm going to have like a crashed Messerschmitt here, Messerschmitt, and it might be on fire. So I'm not going to do any crossings or anything like that. This is strictly going to be a battle scene. So, all right, next step, I'm ready for plaster after I put all the paper in and start shaping the rest of this, the mountains, on how I want it to be. And I will post another video when I'm ready to update. All right, I hope this gave you guys some ideas. Again, I deviated a lot from the instructions, but everything that I've done, I think, is just so strong. Most people may not want to do that or don't think they need to, but I'm really happy with the way it is. Those tunnel tops with the 1/2 inch came out great. Everything is looking good. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks.